we'll start off so simply. I just want to check in and see how you're both doing. It's a nice day. How are you, Gabrielle?
Well, I'm great actually because we're doing great things with the band. Even at work is a good period. So, well, it's a good period actually. Yeah.
Can't ask for any more than that. Enrico, how about you? How are you doing?
I was actually saying this to Gabriele before, like 5 minutes ago. This is the hardest week of my year, I think. At work, I'm doing a very hard job, so I'm pretty tired, but especially happy about all the Benthos work because we're
We're
really
still
excited.
alive.
I am still alive, but under a lot of pressure, but still very good, very good.
Well, I appreciate even more than you giving me your time if you're that under that much pressure, and I hope very much that that passes soon and things can relax a little bit for you, at least in your personal life, and then you can
Thank
just
you.
keep focusing on the busyness of Benthos, of course, because 2025 has started off so well for you. The singles have been really well received. We're in the late stages of an album release period. So starting with you again, Gabriella. Gabrielle, are you pleased with how satisfied the first quarter, because we are in March, so we're one quarter of the way through. Are you pleased with how the first quarter of the year has gone so far for you?
Well, we're receiving many great comments. There's a great response from the people. And I think we have done a great job together between us for the music. Well, I think we have reached the sound that we wanted to reach. And well, the signing with Inside Out was absolutely an awesome goal for us to reach, you know. And yes, I think everything is going pretty good, actually. Yes. We're so excited about the future because I don't know how our path is going, but I'm so excited to discover it.
Of course, of course, of course. Always moving forward, and it's great to hear that you're that excited. Enrico, how when you look at the last 3 months, the last quarter of the this year, how are you feeling about the year so far?
You know, it's just amazing to see all this music that we wrote and produced for such a long time, actually, to be out, and it's great to see that in the real world, and to see all this response, all this great response from people, and the audience has been so kind to us, and I'm pretty grateful because this is the first time I think we did something like this is for sure the most ambitious thing we have
Hmm.
ever done. So it's so good to see it out finally. So it's just grateful to see this. I'm just very grateful to see this. Yes.
The response has been fab, and it heartens me seeing the response to the singles, knowing that these songs from are on the out, of course, on the album, and if people are feeling this strongly about the singles, it's highly likely that will be reflected in the full thing. Of course, at April 11th, that is when things get really, really exciting. It's this release day of From Nothing, your brand new album out via Inside Out Music. So. It is a long process, we know this. The ride to an album release has a lot of stops along the way. And you've got to do a lot of work and put a lot of time and effort into living with this music.
Mhm.
It's been a while. So, Gabrielle, are you still enjoying the ride, or are you at this stage now where you just want the album out?
I'm absolutely excited. Yeah, because the writing process was amazing, and even it was so hard to compose this album because we wanted to push our boundaries to the next level, you know. So I think we put all our strengths together to do the best result that we wanted to reach. And you know, it's a complex album, but it's a lot of cerebral stuff, you know, but I think at the same time, we're really into it. So it's natural at the same time. We thought for we had to think a lot for every details of the album. Enrico knows pretty well. But I think the result was so natural because the album, I think, represents the entire shades of us, you know? So I think we've done a great job together.
You're still clearly enjoying this ride then. You're not quite ready for it. I mean, you want it out, right? But you're not quite at that point where you just desperately need it out.
Absolutely. I want it out. And I wanted to play more as possible live because
Of
this is, I
course.
think, an album that you have to listen face to face in front of the stage. Yes,
Mm.
because it's an album to experience, in my opinion. Not only to listen, but feel the vibe live when the band is playing.
What about you, Enrico? We're at the home stretch of the album release period. Are you still enjoying the ride, or are you just desperate to get it out now?
Especially right now, I think is a good time to reflect on the things we've done
Mhm.
because we are rehearsing the music, we are putting
Mm.
together as we are trying to prepare all the concerts and the gigs we will do. So as you know, in a production stage, you just play all your instruments but not together. So time passes and then you have all this music that you wrote that you have to play together. So
Mm.
especially right now that we are starting again to rehearse and to play together, it's an amazing experience twice. So firstly was the writing, that it's another thing of course, but right now it's very interesting also how we react to this kind of process, the rehearsal process, and this playing together, which was something that we didn't do for maybe 1 year after the production phase.
Wow.
That's how it goes, unfortunately. But this is a pretty exciting time, especially for this, I think. So, seeing this music, on YouTube or on Spotify, all over published, it's actually a right feeling. It's a
Mm.
very nice feeling, but I am especially excited for the live situation that we will have.
Obviously, live is such an important part of your makeup. It's such an important part of who you are and how you sound. The experience on a record can be fabulous and so intricate and so detailed and such a joy to unpick. But live, and that's where you're getting that energy. It is amazing. You only need to speak to anyone who's ever seen you live to understand that. And obviously, you play it live a fair bit because we've got to go back a little bit here. Specifically, the whirlwind years that followed the release of your debut record in 2021. You have those shows, you begin work on the next album, you started with Inside Out Music. So much is going on. It's a crazy few years. Talk to me, start with you, Gabrielle. Talk to me about taking that success, feeling that success, and enjoying that success. Have you been able to do that yet?
I think I'm not able to do that yet. Because unfortunately I'm struggling with many things inside me because I want it every time. I want it more and more and more.
Hmm.
And I think the next stage of us is bring this stuff live more as possible, as I told you before, because we have never experienced to do this, like for example opening for a bigger band and doing an European tour, a big tour. We've just done like a couple of shows outside Italy, and yeah, some shows in Italy went pretty good. Even
Yep.
outside Italy went pretty good, but I think the next stage is bringing this stuff live more as possible, and I will be more, I will enjoy my success maybe later. But this is a thing that I'm struggling with.
No,
Yeah,
that's understandable, but it's nice to hear that there are some elements you are at least beginning to recognize.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I think it's very common to all the musicians. So if you're a musician, you want to play live, and I think it's the dream of all bands playing outside your country and do that stuff. But I think we are reaching that goal, and I'm so excited about it.
Good, good, good. Enrico, how about you?
Well, I think that we're still like in a very initial stage in
Hmm.
a of a band growth. So I mean, I am very grateful about the Inside Out, especially signing, because I mean that's one of the most important label for prog metal and metal in general. So I would say that that is just a huge achievement. So to be honest, I think the first time that I felt like really proud of myself, also after producing and finishing the album, was to be signed by the Inside Out. It just couldn't feel real. So after that, I was really believing it. I was really believe that that was proof of something very that was worth, of the value of what we've done. So
Mm.
that's the first thing, but still, I know that we are at the initial stage of this career. So I am still on the work mindset that we have to do things. We have to be very, yeah, we have to work hard and still achieving that success that we will have, but I think like to have a concrete, sorry, not a real feeling, is that when you play live, it's gonna be like another thing, because when you see people on the internet, when you see views, and it's a great feeling, but the highest success feeling, I think we'll have it on stage for sure.
Yeah, totally
Yeah,
agree.
I agree as well. The measure of growth is an odd one these days because, of course, as you say, views, figures, all those numbers, they can be fantastic. And it will certainly turn some heads in the industry. But for you and for your personal feelings, you go out on stage and maybe 4 years ago, you played to 50 people. You go out on stage next year and you're playing to 450 people. And they're all screaming your name and singing back the songs and you headbanging and all of that. I mean, it's an impossible feeling to describe, right?
Yeah, especially because we had that feeling. I think the best one was this one's festival, because it was this festival in Milan, our city. So it was a proud moment still, but also because we played such a huge stage with a lot of people, and it was Meshuggah doing the headliner show. So it was like the best feeling in the world. Couldn't feel as a real thing, but yeah, it was great. I hope it will become a bit more frequent, these kind of things.
Hopefully, well, not even hopefully. I know it will. The direction is your trajectory is going up, so I know it will. I'm super super confident, and a lot of it is going to be based off this album and how strong this record is. So let's go back. Early days of writing, vision. Did you have a clear vision of what you wanted to do with this follow-up record and the direction that you were going in?
I have a phrase that I
Okay.
think we just keeping telling ourselves, that was uh, let's say no, never. Like,
Exactly.
let's say yes to everything. Every idea, every things that came into our minds was just okay, let's try to make it musical, let's try to make it work. I think you can hear that in the
Hmm.
records.
We never had a clear idea of what we wanted to do, but I think this was stuff that was shaping, and now it's from nothing. But in the early period, I remember that because Fossil, for example, the first single that we have released, started to compose that track while we were recording our first full length. So it's been a while.
Hmm.
It changed a lot during these years. So we didn't have a clear idea of what was happening, and we changed it many times. The concept, the lyrics, the tones of the guitar. The tones of the guitar, I think we reached the final step during the production after 3 years of working on that album. Yes, I remember because the tones of the guitar in the pre-production were a totally different stuff. And during the production, put some chorus, Enrico. Yes, put some tape simulator. Yes, do that in each song. It has to be like that. And this happened.
I
Is
think
that
we
just a product of the time though? Like, is that just a product of where you are as individuals, evolving as musicians, learning new things? So a year later down the line, you've discovered new abilities, new styles, new things that you didn't know you had in you. So you're just applying that to what you were doing, right?
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah, I think so. I think my my thing specifically is that unfortunately, I never stop everything. I mean, I never stop doing anything. So I'm guitar tone speaking is just something that I always try to experiment things, new pedals, new guitars, new pickups, new whatever, to try to change, to try to progress as we, progressive metal. So we do this. So it makes some sense in a way. But I think yes, it's just the progress, the process of growing as people, especially, but as a musician too, since that's the same thing. Also, I think.
I think we learned so many things during the writing process of the album, especially me as a main songwriter. I think I learned a lot during the process because, the first step is I composed the bones of the song, but without the help of my dear friends, it couldn't shape the track. And I think I learned a lot by my friends, especially from him, because he is my main sound engineer friend. So it helped me to grow my visions of what I have to reach with my guitar tone, and that was absolutely wonderful. I think we really improved our skills of musician with this album.
It's clear in the sound. You can hear it in just about every single track, not just in the creation, the production, and how smooth and clean and all of that sounds, but obviously that your songwriting abilities have evolved. That's one of the most impressive things, that you have evolved. We don't want you stagnating. And obviously in progressive metal, that would be a problem in itself. But I want to hear personally that you are having fun, that I believe you had fun. A lot of work goes into it, guys, a lot of work. Talk to me about fun from the writing perspective. Did you have fun? Were you able to enjoy what you were doing, what you were creating?
Yes, absolutely. Especially me and Enrico, while we were creating new guitar tones and very strange tones, as you hear probably on Fossil, for example, but even on the tracks on the album, there are some crazy ideas, and it was always fun. We had so much fun composing that album, really.
I think like if you do it without fun, it's completely useless.
Yeah.
Like why are you doing that? So it seems as a ton of I mean it's a ton of work. It's a lot of hours in putting it to it, but still the first thing that we try to feel doing that is fun.
Yeah.
Fun and like to be ourselves, to be sincere. That's to me that's fun to me. That's a good feeling, and yeah, I think we as we experimented a lot to do this, we had such fun moments during the production, the writing, all this kind of stuff. It was just, when you are having thousands of choices that you have to have a day during the production stage. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of decisions, but still if you achieve fun with it, it's going to be a great experience. So that's the first thing we try to feel fun, for sure, for sure, especially playing it all together, I think.
Yeah, that's an important aspect, isn't it? Because of course you can get so bogged down in the technicalities and the progressive style and all the instrumental side of things separately. You're just working at home with headphones on, say, on a computer. But when it comes together, that obviously becomes such a different experience overall. You've mentioned experimentation a couple of times. I want to go focus on that for a moment because you said never say no, never say no, which is a fascinating way to think. But there are going to be times where no has to happen to a degree. You've gone too far in a way that perhaps doesn't work for what you believe Benthos is. Maybe I'm wrong here. Did experimentation ever get that wild?
No.
Oh no.
I don't know. Maybe sometimes it happens, but it didn't feel as a hard decision, For sure, it didn't feel like that, but I think most of the times it was just a little challenge, you know. Let's try to make this musical. Let's try to make this fun. Let's try to make this a beautiful melody, even if it's not maybe at the beginning. But I think what you told is very, it's very great, but also we are searching for our sound continuously, you know. So it's not a matter of trying to recreate what is Benthos in our mind, but it's just to try to search what it could be.
Mm.
So it's a matter of experiment. Yeah, for sure. Experimentation is the key to us, at least now.
It's great to hear that because ultimately there is a defined sound. We lump it into one genre, don't we? We say, oh, here's some progressive metal, but it's more than that. It's not just one specific genre and style that this gets lumped into. And nobody wants to stick you in a box like that. It would be unfair. We want to hear you expanding your mind, expanding your reaches, expanding your sound. But we also want you to have an identity. And it does feel like on this album that you are getting identity. You have learned what you're beginning to fully understand your identity. Is that is that fair to say that? Do you think this album shows Benthos's identity better than it ever has before?
Better than before? Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far. But we truly don't know what is going to happen. Maybe the next album will be without the guitars. We truly don't know
Mm.
what will happen, really, because we don't have a role for composing music. So we feel the moment and we do this.
Fair. Completely understand that. Okay, sticking with the album. A lot of work gone into it, a lot of time, a lot of effort. At what stage in the writing process did you start to see an album coming together? You're thinking, okay, these tracks have become, and this is a beginning, and we've got an end here, and this is all coming together nicely. Did you remember that point?
Um, hmm, that's a good question because the first track that I started to compose was Fossil, as I said, and it was during the pandemic experience
Mm.
while we were recording our first full length. And then I think I've tried to compose many tracks, like almost 10 or 20s that now are in the bin.
Yeah.
Never chose as songs for the album, but I think like 1 year or 2 year, a couple of years later, after the tour, probably, we started to have an idea of what the album is gonna be. Like we had 3 or 4 tracks, like pure perpetual drum monkeys, and that sounds a huge progress for us. Well,
Mm.
when we had these tracks, so but the majority of the tracks I think they've shaped during the last years in 2023. Yes,
Mhm.
and we really put all our strengths together to shape all the tracks.
Just reached that incredible period of time. Okay, talk to me about the studio then, the experience in the studio overall for you, and particularly favorite kind of memories of being in the studio. What was really enjoyable for you?
So we had some different experiences.
Hmm.
The first studio time was the drum part that we
Mhm.
had in a real, I mean, in a professional studio, the Magnitude Studio, which has Matteo Magni in it as an engineer. But then the bass and the guitars and all the production stuff were done at my home, basically
Mhm.
here where I am right now. So I think when you're paying for the time in the studio, makes you like the best musician as you can, but the worst human as possible. So basically, that's a very pressure timing to be productive. So that I think that was fun. That was really satisfying. I mean the drum recordings, but still
Mm.
a bit more difficult than the other parts. After that, we had these weekends and weekends of guitar and bass recordings, and that was very fun to be. That was the most fun, also because of the, you know, you don't know what to expect. So when you are really trying to achieve something and it feels good and it's good and it's it's in your home.
Mhm.
It doesn't get any better for me. Yes. And the voice, we recorded the voice uh, um, a friend's house as well, which had a proper space to record the vocals, and that was a great experience too. Also because I think that it was the first time for our singer to record such an amount of tracks and material, but just in one session or maybe a couple of sessions. So it was hard, but still very, very satisfying, I think.
Gabrielle, you would describe it as just an overall satisfying experience too.
Yes, absolutely. I never had so much fun to write an album, and at the same time, suffering a lot. Because I don't know, I think the album is divided in two sides. Uh,
Mhm.
it's very dualistic because, as I told you, we put all our strength in this album and we push our boundaries to the next level. And in some way, this is hard to do, but at the same time was so funny. So we
Mm.
experienced laughing, crying, everything happened in the progress of the album. So, but I had so much fun, especially when we were recording the guitars,
Mm.
because it was the best part of the making of the album, in my opinion. And the experimentation was so funny. Even when we recorded the other additional tracks, additional stuff for the tracks, like the percussions, noise, this kind of stuff, it was very satisfying in some way.
I'm glad you're both able to reflect on that period in such a positive way, because obviously when it's all this work and you've got to this point, sometimes it's harder to look back and be objective, but clearly you're still able to see it as such a fun period of time. It obviously had impact on you, but the album explores impact on a larger scale from a humanities perspective. It's a huge, huge talking point, especially when negative and positive impacts are explored. However, I want to narrow it down to this album specifically and its impact, which could be for many immense. So, individually, please, we'll start with you, Gabrielle. What impact would you hope to see this album have on a listener?
I hope that the listener would understand what's happening into himself while he is listening to the album, because I think it's an experience, because the album is a continuous roller coaster between very cathartic moments and very reflective moments. Sometimes it's cerebral and sometimes it's very natural. And I see the album like a true experience to do. And I hope the listener would reflect on his role in this planet. Why are you here? I don't know. It's a big question, I know, but it's like bringing yourself in front of a mirror and say, what I have to do, what can I do for the environment, what can I do for myself
Mm.
and to the others? That's from nothing, because the album is based on the ideas that people are materializing to build entire societies, and each of us can do something for the others. And I would like to make this possible and make the listener to understand what his role here. I don't know. I know that's a wrong question, but not wrong question, but it's very hard to understand. But why not?
If it challenges in a way, then that's an incredible experience for whoever might feel that way. Enrico, follow that.
Yes, that's very ambitious, Gabriele. Thank you very much for giving me the easiest answer possible. No, actually, I think it might be a bit, I don't know, maybe a bit easy to hope, but I really hope people will try to find the time to listen to it from the beginning to the end, as much as possible, because like I struggle to find time to listen to music, not just as a uh, as a background of my day-to-day life, you know. It's difficult to find time to just stay there and listen to music. And sometimes it happens because you have to, sometimes it happens because the music you are listening to, it's amazing. So
Hmm.
I hope this this album resonates with people, making them feel like I just want to listen to this album from the beginning to the end because it's worth the time and it's worth the experience. Because I really we have a lot of fun to try to put like a set list together, like to
Yeah.
try to understand what could it be the first, what could be the first song, or the second after that, what could it be another song, or the last, how would you like to end this album? So it's something that we ask ourselves many times, also with set lists for live shows, of course. So we put so much effort in this that I really hope people will try to find this time for themselves and to listen to the album from the beginning to the end, because it's I think it's a great experience. I mean, songs individually are very great. I love them too. It's just you know, my little childs as well,
Yep.
my little children. But I think that's I mean, it's stupid, very easy hope, but I do hope that actually.
It's a fair hope because these days, particularly how music is digested, it's very difficult to, or you can't guarantee that a large portion of listeners will hear the full thing. Um, so fingers crossed that is the case because it certainly deserves it as well. How it's a digestible 12 tracks. It's, you know, the word may not be accessible, but it certainly is more accessible than people will expect. But people already know that, guys. You can tell by the single response. That's it. We go back to that. That's already the biggest clue. The comments, the response, the views. That's the positivity there, I think. And that shows early success. Now, we talked about success earlier on, so I'm not necessarily wanting to repeat yourself here because I want to talk about what success would look like for the album. But I suspect, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I suspect it's all based around live, yeah? Based around success would look like more tours, more shows, more people in the room. Am I right?
Yeah,
Not necessarily more people in the room. I think it's playing to the right audience.
Right.
Find the perfect spot to make this understandable, you know, because it's not so easy to find the right audience, and we experience the wrong audience, and even the best audience and the best crowd. And in my opinion, my biggest goal would be this: bring this music to the best audience that they can understand what we're doing. So it feels great.
yeah, I think so. I think the same thing, because uh, it will be all based around life, because when you see the real world, the real people having fun at your shows, that's just the best feeling. But yeah, I just agree with it, especially with the live shows.
Absolutely. Although I will add that we should not complain if you sell a ton of albums, a ton of merch, and get really high stream numbers as well. That would be nice success as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
understood. In my opinion, would be my greatest goal to achieve.
Yeah.
Without music, of course.
Well, speaking of goals, then, we've got 9 months to the rest of 2025. Plenty can happen this year before it's said and done. Individually, what's a realistic goal then you would like to achieve? Something you could actually do this year?
About this year,
Hmm.
well, spreading the word Benthos worldwide, of course, would be a great goal to achieve, and I think we're doing this because we're
Yep.
this kind of audience so far. But at least finding new people and making new contacts, talking about music with the right people. This would be the thing that I want to achieve right now. Of course, we want to find more spots for playing music live, of course. But at the same time, we are at the beginning, so finding new people and making conversation and talk
Hmm.
about music would be awesome. Just starting with us. and then we'll figure out what is going to happen.
To me, I think a realistic goal would be just to tour, to have a real tour with as a supporting act, especially because it's a bit early to do, I think, maybe a headline tour through Europe, but I would hope as a realistic goal to do a support tour through Europe, like with real productions with good people that work really well. Also to learn how to do this at such a high level, because it's also that, like, the tour experience I know because I've done it, but with like with the realistic experience of do this as a job is another thing. It's very difficult, and I really am looking forward to be that guy that knows how to do it. I really hope that, and I think it's pretty doable, maybe in the next year or so, something like this. Yeah.
I think both of your goals there are more than doable. We all, every website, channel, every comment is just another person spreading the name of Benthos. And if these tours happen, you get out there, you play live, continues to spread. More and more people learn about you, listen to the music, even if it's an individual track on a playlist on Spotify. This is just spreading that word, and the more people know about you, the better. But I have complete faith that this time next year, if not earlier, we'll be talking in a very different light. Maybe we'll be talking in person as he ended up over in the UK.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so, totally.
But it is such an incredibly exciting period, and it's all leading to April 11th with From Nothing, your brand new album out via Inside Out Music. Gabriele, Enrico, you give me 40 minutes of your time, so I'm going to let you go now. Thank you very much for this.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, too.
Thank you for your time, Carl. It was great to talk to you again, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.